Hey, okay, this is a video I took with drone footage of my property, the 300 acres in Ash Creek. And so, I'm going to give you a little tour. This is kind of in the very south part, about central on the property, towards the south property line. These two ponds are, um, the one is a semi-permanent, the one on the right is a permanent pond, and the one on the left was a cow tank. Uh, Filled in by rainwater. So now we're traveling east. There's Chiricahua Mountains in the background. And the property line, the southern property line, is just on the right side of those trees. It includes those trees, and those are the Ash Creek uh, trees along Ash Creek. In general, you can see that there's some cleared land and some not cleared land. The cleared land is uh, my property, and the not cleared land from the mesquite trees is outside of my property. You did see a few on the left, those cow tanks that were catching rainwater as well. There's several of those on the property and have caught rain in the last little bit of monsoon. Coming up to the eastmost property line, and again, where it's cleared is mine, where it's not cleared is outside of my property. That house is my closest neighbor. She's about a half mile away from where my house will end up being. Um, you can see some piles of old wood from when they grubbed out and cleaned out the old mesquite trees or little mesquite bushes and piled up in piles about 10 years ago. On the right hand side is some mesquite trees that have not been cleared out, and it's on a small little hill, very slight rise, but in this hill there's some Native American artifacts, some old pottery, some rocks from a house that used to be standing. It's all scattered now, but there is evidence of Native Americans living there in the past. On the right hand side, you see in the mesquite trees off my property, there is a Chiricahua Sky Village, which is an amateur astronomy club, and they have some shacks out there that they come out and look at the stars. On the very extreme left, you can see what looks like a road. It's the old runway, and you can see where my property lines very distinctly end, where it's been cleared. Um, it was a windy day today, so I had to go lower, get out of the wind. But anyway, I'll go a little bit lower here and uh, show some more of the vegetation, get a closer look at the vegetation. In general, I'm aiming towards the northwest corner of the property, where the entrance is to the property, the road, where Clovis Road ends, um, and it turns to private property. On the west side of my property is a road that goes to the old ranch, the old Cambridge Ranch, to the south, and then there's a road that runs along my side of the fence line that goes into my property. And we'll see that here in a minute when we get closer. The cemetery is just off the screen to the left. It's on that private road, but it's kind of notched out from my property. Again, you can see some more cow tanks that were filled in with rainwater, and the piles of old mesquite trees and stuff that were piled up when it was grubbed out. That is the entrance there to my property, the end of Clovis Road, that goes off to the right, and my property, the gate to my property is there. So you can see now that where Clovis Road ends and the two roads come down, and down that road you can see some trees and a kind of little clearing down that road. That was the cemetery. And generally my property goes to that line of trees you see there on the right side of the screen. I'm aiming now towards the old homestead site and where my trailers are. We're going to come up to the runway here in a minute, which the runway is just a dirt road at this point, but I hope to make it a runway again. On the left-hand side of the screen, you'll start to see a black water tank and some solar panels. That's where the central well is, the livestock well, and it's dead center in the property, and it will serve to water cows for now. In the future it could serve to water I don't know, little airport building or maybe some cabins or something like that. I'm trying to do a little landing here like I'm a plane coming in for landing. It didn't work so good because it's my first time flying the drone, and also it was quite windy that day, so it was hard to control a little bit. But anyway, there, that's the livestock well, solar panels, and tank. The corrals and cattle panels are not mine. They're the cowboys who runs the cows on the property. So then once you come down the runway, you take a right, and you're going south again along this road towards the old homestead. Where the line of trees are is the kind of end of the property to the south property line. You start to see some power poles here. There's power run across the property. And these 3 power poles that serve a well right under this tree near my equipment stack, trailers and 2x4s and whatnot. I guess you can see the tractor there as well. So right under that tree or behind that tree is the domestic well that I'll be using for water. So kind of everything's centered around that. I'll probably put a shop or something to the left there, and maybe a well house, a proper built well house over and around the well to protect it. But then to the south of this a little bit is where we started the video, and trailers and all my trucks and whatnot are, where the eventual homestead. I will rebuild a home here in this area. So we're going to fly over the 2 ponds again. Again, the one on the right is the permanent pond that hardly ever goes dry. I don't think it's ever gone dry in the last 10 or 15, 20 years. But it's very clear. It's got some growth and moss and stuff in it, but the water itself is quite clear if you get down and look into it. But there's big trees, cottonwoods and whatnot. That's Ash Creek there. There's a little dam that's kind of made of the rocks right there. It's kind of fallen apart. But the property, I'm running along basically the property line here. It kind of meanders back and forth across Ash Creek. But there's another concrete dam right there. That is off the property, just barely on the edge of the property, off the property. And so this is also an area I might build a house in right here by those big trees. And we'll turn again. We're now turning west again, looking west. There's a cow off to the bottom. Maybe we'll stop and look at him a little bit. I hope he doesn't get too annoyed. It basically sounds like a big mosquito. There's about 20 of these cows out right now. Some mama's about 6 or 8 babies or so, calves. But maybe we'll go say hello to this cow. probably got annoyed at the big mosquito in the sky, so we'll move on. But we'll fly over this dirt tank that got filled up with the latest monsoon rains here. Eventually, I'd probably like to combine this dirt tank with a permanent pond and make it one big permanent pond would be nice. Again, over the right, you see my equipment in the well, and this is the trailers and the trucks where I'm sitting. I'm kind of sitting in the shade of the trailer. Maybe I'll try to fly in and see if we can have a closer look. It's not too easy the first time you're flying this stuff. There I am sitting in the shade there. I'll try to fly in a little closer and say hello. Yeah, and so this is my living situation at the moment. Hello. I've got most of my stuff in that trailer, and to the back end of it on the left side of the screen, I'm going to kind of make a little living quarters. Try to